Any entrepreneur or any innovator does not have to run around that how should I launch an app. But when it comes to how should I develop a drug and commercialize, there are too many problems. I have developed drug delivery systems largely for different disease patterns. One of the critical achievement what that system was that I could interact with patient, and that shaped my journey. ICT has trained us to work closely with industrial research. That does not create a situation or that is not undermining the value of fundamental research. I have failed multiple times on creating multiple companies in my early phase of career. That has given me a very good understanding of what doesn't work. And that is very important for each one of us to understand what does not work.
What exactly is the Mumbai Biocluster? Hello and welcome to the Mumbai Biocluster Platform Conversations, where we explore the ideas, people, and innovations shaping the future of biopharma. Today's conversation sits at the intersection of science, strategy, and building systems. We'll be diving into the journey and vision behind the Mumbai Biocluster, the evolution of India's biopharma ecosystem, and what will it take for India to emerge as a global hub for biologics manufacturing. Today's guest is someone working exactly on that, an ecosystem architect working towards making India a global leader in biologics innovation, Dr. Ratnesh Jain. He's a scientist, entrepreneur, and founder of the Mumbai Biocluster, ICT Mumbai Section 8 company and biomanufacturing hub for the development of affordable drugs and vaccines. He's also an associate professor at the Department of Biological Sciences and Biotechnology at the Institute of Chemical Technology, one of India's leading institutions in chemical and pharmaceutical sciences. So let's start right at the beginning. Dr. Jain, what first drew you to pursue a career in STEM and subsequently toward biopharmaceuticals as a career?
Yeah, so I think science is largely a curiosity-driven subject, and that curiosity is driving most of the student or those who are pursuing science. When it comes to biopharmaceuticals, I think it's a journey which I would say also part of serendipity. That is not something which was planned. And largely when we were pursuing pharmaceutical science and also kind of mentorship, which you get over the period of time, that shapes your journey. So as far as understanding biopharmaceuticals was part of, I think, a unwritten plan or unplanned things. Largely pharmaceutical science as a pharmacist, I'm a pharmacist, that always allowed me to work for patient. That is something which is our course, our professionalism taught us. Biopharmaceuticals is largely a credit to one of my mentor, to Dr. Yatin Gokarn, who has guided me that what is this, what you could achieve, building complex therapies. That has allowed me to go into biopharmaceutical science.
It's a beautiful thing that you mentioned. I think the unwritten plans are the ones that work out the best in our careers, yes. Truly. So in your early research years, what problems in drug development or biologics fascinated you the most?
I think I would reframe the answer. So my early research was largely on pharmaceuticals, on small molecules. Again, talking about drug delivery systems. I have developed drug delivery systems largely for different disease pattern. One of the critical achievement what that system was that I could interact with patient, and that shaped my journey. But in the late part of my research, I have evaluated one of the most complicated, or I would say most advanced therapies like RNA therapies in a very early phase of my research in a postdoc level. And that has given me a different perspective. Also, that research was being done in Europe, considering European ecosystem for science and technology. That has given me a very, very different perspective how one should pursue science, how one should pursue translation of science. So that is, I would probably create that those are my perspective, which is largely again credited to European ecosystem is shaping my ways.
So, coming back from the European ecosystem to the Indian ecosystem and setting up your own lab, what are the differences that you saw in the way people pursue translational science?
Yeah. Um, I think I'll again understand. So I have worked in European ecosystem. I have seen American ecosystem, not worked in the system, but I have seen it closely. And now, till this date, I have now close understanding of that system. And of course, we are aware about Indian ecosystem. So European ecosystem goes very fundamental, always claiming what is real. There is no overclaim. As far as translation goes, unless everything is in place, they never go for translation. On the other side, American ecosystem is largely claim things very early, and that is a capitalist country, so that teaches us, and that also allowed them to take higher risk. Europe is very risk averse. We are somewhere in the middle of all these things, and that also allowed us that India has to create its own journey. So in terms of comparing these ecosystem, each ecosystem works for that continent. But that has given me a very good answer that if we have to do something in India, we have to create our own ecosystem and create our own answers. I
That
hope
are
I'm
unique.
answering that question. Yeah.
And so, moving on from research to building ecosystems. So, many scientists spend their careers focusing entirely on research in the lab, developing a drug. But at some point, did you realize that India needs more than strong research labs, but it needs stronger innovation ecosystems? So, what was there any specific moment, a conversation, or a realization when the idea for the biocluster truly crystallized?
Yeah. That's an interesting question because, uh, it has multiple answers. One of the answer, of course, lies behind conception or conceptualization of ICT as an institution itself. ICT has trained us to work closely with industrial research. That does not create a situation, or that is not undermining the value of fundamental research. That must happen and that should keep happening because the true discovery comes from fundamental research. Uh, while going into multiple phases of research, as a student, we were looking research very differently. As a professional, as professor, we were looking at differently. Something which could change science and innovation ecosystem rapidly is, I think it's an understatement. Nothing changes very rapidly, but the seeding is important. If you create a right seed, definitely the outcome would be best. So that is one of the key things. So in my opinion, I was closely, I have failed multiple times on creating multiple companies in my early phase of career. That has given me a very good understanding of what doesn't work, and that is very important for each one of us to understand what does not work. At the same time, we are also seeing a couple of companies who were trying to innovate, developing new drugs and vaccines, and we have seen them failing by not able to translate real innovation for the patient driven therapies or patient driven innovation. So those certain, my own example as well as some of my association, those failures taught me that we need our own examples. And again, though the Indian ecosystem is too large, through Mumbai Biocluster, we are just trying to create a very small example. And if that would succeed, probably that will remain a gold standard for many more such innovations to come in future.
It's a beautiful thing that it came about as an inspiration from the failures. You've learned from them and built something that's going to support others. So, talking about failures, is there any advice you would like to give to the youth about embracing failures instead of being dejected by it?
Yeah. I think there are two part of that answer. Part one is many youth largely spend their time in ideation. I would strongly advise follow execution as soon as possible, because the true failure comes when you are executing. And ideation, of course, is important, but in business ecosystem, because entrepreneurship is for business. And in a business ecosystem, the only thing which works is execution. And once you execute, you will understand whether it's working or not working. And probably 90 or 95% thing doesn't work. Only 5% things works. Um, Dejection, I think, always remember, and there is somebody we believe, if you are spiritual and somebody is, working hard, there is always a good plan ahead of you. So dejection is something which is your perception and mentality. One has to keep yourself. Motivation is a very large part of your. You have to be motivated. So any youth should find what is motivating them, and there is one or two things. It's like a fuel that will definitely keep. So find your motivation, and there is no end. I mean, if you keep working, you will get it. That's how we have learned, and we will keep getting it if we are keep working for the cause.
That's really beautiful advice, sir. So now, when you look at platforms like the Gordon Research Conferences or the JP Morgan Healthcare Conference, which sets the tone for the entire year in healthcare, so they show you how powerful it can be to bring the right people into the same room. So are these the experiences that have influenced your thinking when conceptualizing the biocluster and the flagship programs that have born out of it? The Biologics Conference, the International Conference on Advances in 3D Cell Culture, and now the Peptides and Complex Generics Conference.
Yeah. So biocluster, as it's a three-pillar thing: R&D service and scientific programs. As far as JP Morgan, World Economic Forum, or Gordon conferences, I study them deeply, and most of the ecosystem. So my study is largely for ecosystems, and whether how these conferences or programs or events are creating ecosystem. An ecosystem develops when people talk, when people have a conversation on an open platform, share ideas, share limitation, challenges, failures, and probably forge relationships, build businesses. And this is all happens in scientific programs, in forums which are either looking for innovation or businesses. The gap in India was largely that most of the conferences or ecosystems were still happening in silos. So our model is again not to create another conference, but create platform where each and everybody could come. Each idea is welcome, whether it is coming from a student or a CEO of a company or a professor of the institute or a policymaker. Each idea is welcome, but that should find a multi-stakeholder debate. And unless that happens, we will not cross path of development. So as our vision of 2047 is being a developed country, of course, we have to embrace, more challenging things, and creating a forum which will allow each one of the stakeholder to talk and have an open conversation and accepting our challenges. That is very important. People don't accept what the challenges are. Accepting it and try to solve that. So our forum's idea is to do that. Again, as I told you in the beginning, our problems are a unique problem, and each country will have its own unique problem. So we will definitely inspired by JPM, Gordon, or many other conferences, but that won't solve our problem. We have to create our own ecosystem to solve our own problems. And our events, whether it's Biologics, PCG, and there are many other programs which are going to come, will be a effort or a catalytic effort to solve our problems.
So, really nice philosophy, and it's really important to have all the voices in the room when you're discussing a problem. Yeah. So now moving on to how this idea has now turned into an institution, and that journey is never easy. So what were the biggest challenges in the early days of building the biocluster, from an idea to now what it stands?
Yeah. So I think I would say that we are yet to achieve there. We have not reached where we are expected to reach. We are somewhere in the middle. Lot of work is yet to be done. What is probably working nicely is people are believing the idea. People are liking that there is a great need, and they wish to be associated with it. It started from a couple of people to a now large capacity, with their R&D services or as well as event division. within the biocluster. So I think the continuous approval as well as positive feedback about the idea of biocluster, which is giving us energy to reach to where we want to reach. As an institution, I would say it is definitely working as an institution, but its true impact will only come in probably in few years when it is fully functional. We are probably 30 to 40% is functioning. And that is also allowing us to develop different business models. And now you ask a question that people should not be dejected. Even in the journey of BioCluster, which started in 2021 by a simple an idea on a paper, we got in support of entire Mumbai city, whether these are financial institution, industry, or academic institution. Everybody joined together for the cause. But each cause, each journey has its setbacks. And we have had setbacks even in this journey. Many, even we are continuously getting setbacks and continuously getting success. It is happening both the ways. But each setback is giving us more opportunities. And those opportunities, I normally thank those setbacks, because otherwise we would not have created those opportunities. So BioCluster is actively licensing many drug molecules as of today, and we have a good library of licensing which we would like to develop as a product. And so that is opportunity which was otherwise not available, but the setback allowed that if our system is taking a bit of time, that why not create a model which is taking molecules and converting them into product, and that is happening. So I'm satisfied by that setback is also creating some alternative opportunity.
It's a really nice perspective on creating opportunities out of every setback that you face. Yeah. Now, knowing the full journey of the biocluster, if you had to distill it into a 30-second elevator pitch, what exactly is the Mumbai Biocluster?
Yeah. So Mumbai Biocluster is addressing a fundamental problem. India do beautiful science, but does not convert into products. We are addressing that particular set of problem, how to address the valley of death, where a science is translated into product and commercialized for the benefit of patient, society, and consumers.
Beautifully put. Very beautifully put. So you spoke about the valley of death, and that is where many promising drug discoveries fall, between the gap between academic research and commercialization. So why is this gap actually existing, and how will the Mumbai Biocluster aim to solve it?
Yeah, I think again, most of these problems exist because the dots are not connected. We have almost all the possible capacity any country should have to develop any fundamental science into a product which can benefit society, which can build our industrial capability. What we don't have is somebody or some institution or some dedicated process which can connect the dot. And so BioCluster is an effort where we are trying to connect these dots. So one of our founder, one of our donor, ITRI, and Dr. Rab normally mentions this, that it is a full stack development. If somebody wish to do a phone development now in a country, or app development, forget about phone, but app development, you have all the stacks available. You know who will develop the app. If you have a problem, and launching that app through a Play Store or through any Google Android store, it probably takes just few months because everything is available. Any entrepreneur or any innovator does not have to run around that how should I launch an app. But when it comes to how should I develop a drug and commercialize, there are too many problems. So those stacks are not assembled. Those stacks are, we don't have points or resources that one could actually pick it up, that okay, these are the step 1, 2, 3, 4, and I'll put together and develop a drug. So BioCluster wanted to create a full stack, that if you really wanted to develop a drug, These are the stacks which we will be making sure that they are available. You just come over. Once you come over at any one of the stage, you can directly exit at the commercialization stage. That's what we are trying to do.
It's really important to have that framework, especially in a country like India. So you spoke about the biocluster being sort of like a full stack for someone with an idea for a drug to commercialize it. So as it is important to have all the resources in one place, it's also important to have a really good network whenever you have an idea to take it to the next stage. And I've seen you have garnered a very nice network over the years. So do you have any advice on, networking and maintaining relations in the long term?
Yeah. So, I mean, I keep watching. I'm a fan of movies, fan of books, and also fan of a lot of quotes, which a lot of leaders say. I mean, they might not be saying as a quote, but we normally capture those essential words. Sherlock Holmes also sometimes says that it is always important to have essential from the accidental. Okay. However, that's not true in case of networking. There is a quote that your net worth is your network. It goes with the fundamental understanding that I like people, I like talking to people, I want to build relationship. When we came to academia, you always have a choice to go to industry and when to go to academia or any other places. I came in academia largely with the drive that I wish to create an impact to our country, an impact to the institute whom I'm serving, impact to the society. One could only create a large impact when you have uh, largely a right kind of a network, right kind of a capital, and right kind of resources. There is also a very famous saying that if you have a knowledge, money, and network, and in case you leave these some of those two things aside, will you be able to succeed? Will you be able to change? Um, so if you put knowledge, suppose you put money and network aside and just put knowledge, you can't utilize knowledge because you don't have money and you don't have a network. The other is if you put knowledge and network aside and just have money, money can't do anything because you don't have a right network. But if you have a network, and even if you don't have knowledge and money, that will allow the network will allow it to facilitate. So I think that's the advice. That's also something which I normally follow and pursue to create a right set of acquaintances, friends, and network largely. Maintaining a relationship, I think there is only simple formula. Everybody needs time. As long as you can allot time, you can consider a good, easy discussion, something where you can trust. You can have a confident discussion with anyone. And if you get time for any relationship, it's then the relationship grows. If you don't give time, nobody is going to grow. So that is a very fundamental that you need to give time for each one of your relationship, including network. If you're giving that time and if you are allowing that to happen, I think anybody could build a very nice network. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a really beautiful philosophy on the power of networks. So you spoke about why you chose academia for a long-lasting impact, and an important aspect of academia is mentorship. And you're known for taking bets on young talent and often giving people their first opportunity. So could you tell me what drives this philosophy?
Yeah. Again, I feel that whenever a younger audience, being in academia, that's an advantage. You always see a younger talent coming. I like building people. That's something which is again a passion of mine. That how to build people, how to, and one of the it is again coming from societal understanding. If you look large movements of our country or anywhere, if you see revolution, though we are not creating any revolution here, but if you see any revolution, if you see any societal change, it does not come from the top. It comes from younger set of society. Whether any large change, whenever it happened, if you even look our own independence, even if you look India's own revolution, green revolution or white revolution, though these are more largely industrial revolution. If you look industrial change in Europe, or if you look capitalist country like US, which is which was driving, I won't say which is driving, which was driving a very successful set of companies which still hold a large value. Everything came from when you have supported a younger audience, giving them resources, giving them opportunities, giving them vision. Very important part is giving them vision. Opportunities are created, capital is available, but setting a vision. And if they are aligning with that vision, they can change. And that will always be my philosophy. That will always be the primary working model for me, because I believe that that set of people can change the world. And for me, that is also called Chanakya Niti. I follow that a lot. And from my Chanakya Niti, that is my bet.
It's a really beautiful perspective. And many people often just say that it's the youth that's going to change the world. But through your working style, we've seen that you actually believe in it.
Yeah.
So zooming out a little, India is often called the pharmacy of the world, largely due to its leadership in generics. But when it comes to biologics, global leadership is still lying elsewhere. So why do you think that is? And what will it take for the transition from biosimilar development to novel biologics innovation?
Yeah. Biosimilar, so India is a pharmacy of the world because of it is something with our talent, it was easy to create. And that has allowed, because the capital and entry for capital investment was lower. The revenues were handsome, and one could actually build a business. We are also coming, after multiple years of dominance by British or East India Company, I would say that way. When India got independence, there were only traders in our country. They were not innovators. And traders will largely do trade. And the fundamental trade is early ROI. So if you look our journey from 1947 till date, people were looking for early ROI. The risk-taking ability was not there. And even it is still very far from where we can say risk. But things are changing from last 10 years. A couple of other, successes in IT industry or in consumer industry or other industries have allowed us to take that risk. Of course, government has to play a much, much bigger role whenever industry is not taking risks. So government can take a risk and industries can follow. Through multiple schemes now, government is taking risk where they are now promoting novel biologics. I think government alone is not party to that, but regulators which allow. So the fundamental change, which probably in one line I would say, that as early as we can do a human study, one could achieve more and more drugs coming from India. So we have to create an ecosystem, regulation, policy, whatever it takes to fast track this entire process. Having said that, I think we have realistically novel drugs from India. It may take a good amount of time, but what we could probably lead is in the bio and services and biosimilars, which is something which goes with our philosophy, capacity, skill, talent, everything we have. And if we keep pushing investment, probably in next 3 to 5 years, India can become a leader, at least in the services and biosimilar domain.
Okay. And you mentioned that this will require a lot of support from the government, and we are seeing that movement. a very strong policy momentum, for example, the 10,000 crore Biopharma SHAKTI scheme, and also increasing foreign investment from venture capitalists. So, do you see this as the turning point for India's biologics revolution? And what can we do to make much use of this capital?
Yeah, I think capital-wise, there are quite a few schemes. Biopharma SHAKTI coming from finance minister is extremely popular. It's a very welcome move. But we have quite a few schemes even previous to that. We have biomanufacturing scheme from DBT. We have a PRIP scheme from Department of Pharmaceuticals. We have multiple other schemes coming from Technology Development Board or BIREC. We have an RDI scheme, which is 1 lakh crore money available for industrial development. So schemes are there, and Biopharma SHAKTI is kind of a catalytic move, which is going to getting right benefit. I think people should take a risk. The ideal that those are the risky ventures. When government is investing, the primary requirement is take risk. Okay, and these are all PPP model. It means a 50-50 model, and I would say that it's worth taking risk. So I think the appeal is to pharmaceutical community of India, who is pretty less risky, and that they should, put some money aside, take advantage of what government initiatives are, because government can initiate. End of the day, execution belongs to the community, to industry, to the people, those who are entrepreneurs. They should avail that opportunity, take risk, and transform.
Yeah, beautifully said. Now the baton is in their hand. The system is set for them, and they have to be the ones to take the risk. Yeah. So now you spoke about how India can be a leader in biosimilar development, and we've seen that China has really taken the lead in biologics innovation. So why do you think they have had that ecosystem to lead in innovation, and how can India reach there?
Yeah. So as I mentioned it earlier, China has actually, taken lot of our acts. So our 1945 Food and Drug and Cosmetics Act. China has taken that act. The only thing they have changed is rapid clinical studies. So maybe I think in few months' time, one could achieve. So if you are innovating or developing a drug, you can rapidly go for human trials. That's what they have. I mean, they have broken those that limiting factor. If we break that, we are there. But they have done it early, even from our own example. So drug development was not an inherent China's policy, but they just, I think they were looking ahead of the curve rather than following biosimilar generic industry, developing new drug, because that create value. They have broken the human trial rule, where human trial is very easy. So you can get 100 patient, 200 patient data for any drug very early. That is still not achievable in many parts of the world. So if India can, probably that is something, again, of course, in a regulated ecosystem, because it's a risky path. If we could do that, that is one of the way to get into this. But we have talent, we have drugs, every part of the ecosystem is set. But that is the answer, that one has to modify the rule or improve the rule for a early clinical trial.
Take well-informed regulated.
Yes, a well-informed regulated system.
Understood. So now looking ahead, we are seeing increasing convergence of biology and AI. So how do you see AI impacting the drug development pipeline the most?
Yeah. I think AI is going to impact each part of our life, including drug discovery. Discovering drug with many innovation like Google DeepMind. Specifically, I'm talking about biologics innovation. AlphaFold kind of innovation, or there are NVIDIA is creating multiple open source protein structural. So there would be many opportunities to find new drugs on against known or unknown targets. We will definitely save time. Whether we will save cost, that's a question mark. Time will answer, because generating drugs, even from AI, is still very expensive. And if you are doing a wet lab or AI based, both right now creating similar cost pattern. So the AI will definitely change the way we are looking. AI will be changing how we are looking at data in manufacturing and R&D, and we are going to, that is going to transform the way we look into data. So it will not only in the drug discovery, but entire drug development, supply chain, value chain. AI is going to impact each part of the drug development process. But the true success of AI would be if can reduce the cost and give us more better leads, which can be successful drug candidate. If that may happen, that would be a biggest achievement in my opinion.
Yeah. So even with the power of AI, you mentioned that it's the question mark is lies in reducing the cost. So
Yes.
historically, drug development has been $1 billion investment. Even over the years, we've seen that the cost hasn't reduced. So why do you think that is?
Because of the inherent process challenges, inherent developmental challenges, the cost goes because the primary purpose of any drug development is to demonstrate safety first, efficacy second. Okay. And demonstrating safety as it is going for a human, human or a patient for diseases, those are the key factors. So the kind of study one has to do, different kind of in vitro studies, animal studies, assays, characterization, it is inherently expensive. So the cost, there is a general societal understanding that where the money goes, money actually will be, unless you pour money, the qualified drug candidate will not come out. So it's an inherently costly process to develop a drug molecule. Cost also goes in the development, cost goes in supply chain maintenance, cost goes in people, where people has to be rewarded for the talent, for the intellectual they're putting into the development, regulatory and commercial processes, and also to the failures, because what comes out maybe is result of thousands of trials or millions of trials. You don't know that, nobody knows that. So the cost also went there. But when it comes to a success, all the cost has to be consolidated. And that is one of the reasons. So when I said AI, if AI can reduce those failures, the cost can come down. Because when you fail 1,000 times and succeed once, you will calculate end of the day for all 1,001. So how do we? But if your success rate is 101, then you will reduce the cost of 900. It's not inflated price, but it's the reality.
It's the ground reality. Yeah. So now, if you'd like to imagine that it's the year 2040, India has become one of the world's leading biopharma innovation hubs. So what has happened between now and then to make that possible, and what role has Mumbai Biocluster played in that journey?
In 2040, I think one of the key thing, and I'll at least one drug and one company, if I could create by 2040. That's a conservative vision. I would be setting it up. One new drug which is coming out from Mumbai Biocluster's intervention. We do not have ambition that it would be our drug. It would be anybody's drug. But we are taking an active role to commercialize it and to allow it to reach to patient, and also a company which is actually functioning it to commercialize. If we could create both these two things, I think whatever vision we are setting, whatever efforts we are doing now, we have achieved it.
It's a really nice thing to put out in the universe. I really hope that happens by 2040. So one thing we've been talking quite a lot about is the importance of human trials to accelerate drug development. So with respect to human trials, we've also seen the advancements in 3D cell culture and new approach methodologies like organ on chip to fast track the process of reaching human trials. So what do you think the role of these new approach methodologies is in fast tracking drug development?
Yeah. So I think our group, specifically led by Dr. Prajakta, working on these specific NAM, which can reduce the animal utilization as well as increasing chance of successful drug candidates. So it actually goes with the same concept as I discussed about AI. The fundamental success or the overarching success in both the sense I am talking about, if these in vitro models can create more and more successful drug candidate, reduce the failures, which is possible in vitro, it's not possible in animal models. So if these organochip, organoid models, or all NAMs can develop drug candidates which are very, very, it is likely that in human trial they'll be having a good success metrics. And one could try through in vitro modeling. That will again, have a path breaking advantage. The other advantage is again very futuristic, reducing clinical trial. Again, if these in vitro model can give more and more safety and efficacy information, and where you can have a very minimalistic trial, or the trial which will be, like if I have a 200 or 400 patient trial, assume a situation that I can just do a 50 patient trial, but a large set of data set is coming from in vitro models, which is giving me confidence that a just 50 patient trial will be okay for me to launch a drug. That futuristic situation will be path breaking. But yeah, science is going there. And hopefully together with AI and NAM together, we can have much more bigger and confident data set for a successful drug development.
Yeah. We really hope that the science should reach there in the near future. So before we move to the rapid fire round, what has been the most rewarding moment in your journey so far?
Yeah, I think one of the greatest thing for me to see is belief of people. That's my reward at the moment, I would say. My team, my investors, my network is believing in me, in the vision which I'm setting up. The reward probably in 2040 is something which I'm looking to get the real reward. But these are capsule rewards, which I'm continuously getting. I think people, those who are believing in the vision which me and my team is continuously working, and there is a trust. There is a trust, there is a backing, there is a belief. I think any belief is bigger than any physical or monetary reward. So for me, that belief is much more important, and that will keep, I'll keep that reward with me always, as long as people and every stakeholder is believing in my mission. I think that would be something which will keep all of us going.
Yeah, belief is what keeps us all going. Yeah. Rightly put. So we'd like to close with a quick rapid fire round.
Sure.
So you can answer with one word or a phrase. So a scientist that everyone should follow.
I think I'm not sure whether people may follow, may not follow. The scientist whom I admire his name is Robert Langer in MIT. I'm admiring him very early from my master's and PhD days. I always look up the way he works. But he has done tremendous amount of work for pharmaceutical industry, largely a healthcare industry, and I really follow him, what he does.
And the most underrated area of biotech right now?
I think synthetic biology largely is, though it is one of the priority, but one has to investigate as deep as possible into synthetic biology of biotech.
Okay. Breakthrough that you're watching closely?
I'm watching AI largely, closely, how data, specifically innovations from NVIDIA or Google DeepMind and many other companies are putting, and how this will unfold into a rapid drug development. Excited to probably see what is coming out, but that's what I'm watching.
Okay.
Yeah.
One book that has shaped your thinking?
It's, though quite a few books which I like, but Romancing with Balance Sheet, that keeps me real, that keeps my thought process and my ambition real. So it's more of a financial book, but that's what I really like.
Yeah, I think in the end it's finances that keep us grounded.
Yes.
And one thing that India must do to win the biotech race.
Yeah, I think India should create more and more grand challenges in leaders, which they are not doing at the moment. The amount of money which they have to pour should be very focused. Unless people are rewarded and they have been given priority, and also focus challenges, very, say, synthetic biology. AI is a very focused challenge, semiconductor, but similarly there would be more sub focus challenges where the problem is stated and you're looking for an answer. And unless these two things are focused, we'll not be able to win this race. So yeah, India should actually do these two things aggressively.
Yeah, very nicely put, because I think it's really difficult to look for an answer without a very specific question at hand, very specific problem at hand. So, Dr. Jain, this has been a fascinating conversation, not just about biologics, but philosophy, perspectives, and looking ahead, what India will look like in the next decade. So, thank you for joining us on Mumbai Biocluster Platform Conversations.
Thank you very much.